Welcome back to Plants Not Plastic. I'm Nikita, and today we're making simple, classic French toast. Can we just start off by appreciating the irony of me needing to take photos of this recipe and just happening to buy the only loaf of bread I've ever seen in my life with holes the size of golf balls? Aesthetics aside, this recipe is so quick to pull together, requires just a few ingredients, and turns out spongy, sweet, and delicious. It's perfect for lazy weekend mornings when you're tired of just the same old oatmeal. So here's everything you need to make this recipe. I'll also leave everything in the description box below, along with a link to the blog post with some scrumptious photos and a printable recipe card. Before jumping into how these ingredients are made, let's also cover the one very necessary tool for this recipe, a nonstick frying pan. Following a whole food plant-based diet, I don't cook with oil, and while some frying can be done with fancy oil-free tricks, unfortunately for these specific frying purposes, a sticky pan, be it cast iron, stainless steel, or otherwise, even on a low heat, won't give you the easy, non-stick results we're looking for with this French toast. I'm not saying you can't try it. You'll still end up with an edible breakfast, and I promise you the flavor will still be great, but there's a high chance you'll end up with a mangled-looking mess rather than the put-together stack you saw in the thumbnail. Okay, so after sorting through this holy bread, we'll whip together the wash. If you didn't buy pre-sliced bread like me, slice up your pieces to between a ½ inch and an inch thick, to your preference. Then add all your ingredients but the bread to a flat bottom bowl. The heavy tablespoon of flax seeds, which you can sub for ground chia seeds, unsweetened plant milk, agave, which you can sub for an alternative sugar or leave out altogether, and the optional cinnamon and vanilla extract. Mix it all together and set it aside for 10 minutes so the flax seeds can gel up a little bit before we make our toasty toast. After the minimum 10-minute gelatinizing period, give it another stir and set your frying pan to a medium to medium-low heat. Then drop your first slice of bread into your wash and soak each side for 20 seconds to a minute per side, and then drop it into the pan and cook it for 2 to 5 minutes per side. So I'm going to give you a couple tips for cooking these, but at the end of the day, you're just soaking a piece of bread and browning it on each side in a skillet. So here are my tips. With any cooking like this, I'll always recommend that you do a couple testers to find the right amount of soaking and cooking time and the right stovetop temperature for the rest of your foodstuffs. Start on a lower heat so you have more control over how fast your slices are cooking. Better to have to flip them a couple times to get them browned rather than burning them the second they hit the pan. If your bread is fresh or doesn't have a hard crust, aim to under-soak your slices. Better to have a lightly seasoned piece of bread than a soggy one that's difficult to flip and easy to break. I use fresh sourdough or French bread with a stiff crust. Soak my bread for 30 to 40 seconds and cook each side on close to the lowest heat for about 2 to 3 minutes aside. But all of this will vary based on your bread, your pan, and your stove. As you're cooking these, you can also set your oven to its lowest temperature and store the finished pieces to keep them warm. If you're a big fan of cinnamon, you can also add more to the wash or even sprinkle your second side straight in the pan. Once all your bread is turned to sugary cinnamon toast, we can stack them with our favorite fixings and serve them up for a taste test. I usually eat mine with strawberries, but forgot to buy some, so I covered mine with blueberries, dusted them in powdered sugar, and topped them off with a little more agave. This French toast is so simple to make and comes out sweet and flavorful with great texture. It's a basic, sugary little recipe to play with and refine on the weekends to mix up your morning routine and add some variety to your breakfast options. It's sugar and carbs with less fat and no dairy. What else could we want? Don't mind me as I choose not to use a knife and fork. I wouldn't typically, so why put on a show now? For how it stacks up against an alternative, I'm not going to do a breakdown for the sake of time, but you can check out the full nutrition label on the blog that links out to Chronometer. This recipe, though, is the same as all my others. When comparing it to a vegan or non-vegan option without specialty items or animal products, it will cost you less to make. With plant-based ingredients, it'll have more fiber, and without oil or butter, you'll get to eat more of it for the same number of calories. So that's it for today's recipe. If you try it out, let me know in the comments. You can also subscribe to my blog for recipes right to your inbox and connect with me on social media for day-to-day content. Also, if there is a recipe that you would like to see from me, let me know that as well. I am always looking for new ideas. And don't forget to subscribe, click the bell, Give this video a thumbs up and come back next time. Bye!